Hey, what's up guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my FHM5 Road to Glory series with the Maine Mariners. In this episode, we continue onward with the regular season. It is currently December 3rd. We still have a long way to go. Of course, we started off quite hot. It's kind of fizzled out lately. We've lost 3 games. We have 1 win in our last 7. It's been slightly disappointing, but we are still very much getting used to not only, of course, the toolbar over here that I was aware of. I just didn't want to learn, but I'm going to. We're still very much getting used to running an ECHL team, and of course, being at the mercy of an NHL and AHL team above us. It is going to take some getting used to. Of course, if you look at our roster overall, it's the dark green players that actually belong to us. Light green, like Nieves and Lidl, of course, belong to either the Rangers outright or have a contract. Well, I mean, Lidl is with the Rangers as well. Alex Kyle, I believe, is the one that has the deal with the Hartford Wolfpack. Indeed, he does. He's also currently injured. It's a little bit tough right now, and obviously we have a couple of guys who are down in the minors that we might be able to use to try and either free up space to be able to sign somebody or directly bring in help. I think the big signing that we made of bringing in a James Wisniewski is going to be extremely beneficial overall. And when we look to, oh goodness gracious, let's go to the fine world of the free agent center. When we look here, we still have $33 million, or $33 million, I wish, $33,000 in cap space. And when you look at what, say, a James Wisniewski is making, it's an affordable deal to bring in another 2-star helper, which would be great. Now, goaltending-wise, I actually don't think we need to bring in anybody else. Do you not want to read? Okay, that's fine. We have 2 2-star goalies right now. Toivonen, of course, belongs to us. Stevens does not, but we should be okay. It wasn't the plan that I envisioned for the real-world Mariners to be like, let's go with Hunter Toivonen, but that's kind of how it's been set up. As far as where we could look to bring in the help, though, if you look at our depth chart here, I mean, at center, it's not too bad. Chase is actually ours, 2.5-star talent, which is great. Stork at 2.5-star, who I'm going to try to get into the lineup, and then Everett Clark right now would actually be a healthy scratch. We need to send him back down. I was messing with the lineups a little bit. And of course, that'll free up a little bit of money. Chance is actually ours at 2 stars. Adams Moisan also ours at 2 stars. And of course, our South Korean signing, whose name I would still butcher, is 2.5-star. I think it's more left wing, but right now we're so dependent on the 4 that are actually on roster. Lidl, Melanson, Kyle, and Salvaggio. There's nothing that we can do there. So if we were going to bring in help, it probably would be on that right-hand side or at center. It's kind of tough to say because you got to figure in as well, you don't really run a full 4th line. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for us. I think we are just going to continue onward, maybe on a week-by-week basis, maybe even do monthly updates like I kind of do in FIFA. It really does depend on how much is going on in the background, of course, with what's going on, what other teams are doing, how long it takes for everything to load. I do want to get to this first game against Adirondack, see if we can snap this losing streak, and then we'll probably jump a month ahead and see how things are looking. Maybe then look at making any kind of deals that we can. Perhaps we'll get a trade offer here or there. We end up beating Adirondack by the score of 5-2, so we at least start things off on a more positive note. Currently in 9th place. I'll see you guys either as of January 1st, or if something overly interesting happens. Although, that said, the list of things to come, which is, nope, that's not the one I want. I'm trying to get used to this shortcut menu. I know it's helpful. It's not history. It's not the transaction log. It's events. There it is. We don't really have anything coming up throughout the month of December. The World Juniors, of course, start at the end of the month, but that's really the only thing going on right now. League trade deadline is on the 7th, so we do have plenty of time. January 1st, 2019, I remember it fondly, the Maine Mariners find themselves in 9th place in the conference, which obviously is not ideal. Now, unless I'm mistaken, the ECHL standings still work that the top 4 in each division are the 8 teams to make the playoffs. So technically, right now, we are on the outside looking in, 1 point back of Worcester, but we do have a game in hand. And all things considered, that's not a bad place to be in because we have had a lot of players miss time, mainly the key players that we're relying on that have been sent to us from either the Rangers or the Hartford Wolfpack. Frederick Clayson, only 10 games played at this point. Stork has 12 games played over the past month ever since we called him up. Gilmore, only 25 games played. O'Gara, 28. And O'Gara just recently got hurt as well. He's actually, as you can see, currently not in the lineup. It's been a little bit tough to deal with. That said, we're making the most of it. I'm still not sure if I want to pull the trigger on any trades or not because you just don't quite know what the AI is going to do in terms of what's going to happen with the Rangers, what's going to happen with the Wolfpack. A single injury changes everything that we're doing here, which is frightening. That said, I think it would be nice to try and bring in another offensive dynamo to the team. If you look at someone like Dwyer Shantz and what he's done this year, 20 points in 31 games, not that bad. Nieves, 24 points in 31 games, and Dawson Lidl's been great. So it's tough to say what to do. I mean, we could look, not that I'd want to, at moving Scott Savage to try and bring another strong defenseman, another 2.5-star guy in, but I like the job that Plant, I mean, granted, minus 11, not the best stat, plus minus, but still, that is what we're dealing with this year. And of course, you can get the look at everything else as far as in-depth statistics go, which, you know, yeah, it still doesn't quite help with the decision making, now does it? So it's a tough call. Again, we have until March. I want to see how the core team continues to perform over the next month before we make anything happen. As far as our development reports, we still have guys that are making improvements, which is nice. Nothing overly ridiculous, though. Hannu Toivonen's actually dropped a little bit, which isn't all that surprising. So hopefully we see this team start to break through, get healthy, and then we can look to add to it. In terms of selling, there's really not much in terms of selling to do, so we are very limited. It's still a learning experience, but I'll talk to you guys again either in a month, because otherwise we're just sitting here following along with what happens. I mean, I don't know, we need to figure out the format for this, but it's either, hey, I'll see you guys when something interesting happens, or we continue to sit here and manage the day-to-day, which is mainly just messing with the lineups, dealing with injuries, trying to pay attention to who's underperforming, and maybe giving someone else a chance. But, of course, having limited options to do that, thanks to the Rangers, just the way the ECHL works. Players gain new nationalities. Anybody of interesting note? Brett Connolly. Good. Wow. Okay. Okay, this does not mean they're immediately eligible to play international in that country, but they may now opt to do so. Gustav Nyquist and Richard Panik could play for the U.S., huh? I don't see why they'd want to do that. I mean, Nyquist would probably make the U.S. team. Maybe. That's still weird. So see, you get those. It's like, hey, okay, that's kind of weird. One of those deals pops up. Right now, though, of course, I don't have news on for like, hey, what's happening in the NHL. I can look if we care to, but obviously our focus is on the task at hand with the Mariners. Coach reports on new players. Parker Gahagan nearly adjusted to what we're doing here. And go figure, it's taking a South Korean just a little bit of time, maybe a little bit more than a little bit of time, to try and adapt to living in Maine. I can't imagine. I can't imagine switching, being on either side of that, being like, yeah, I'm from South Korea. I'm going to go play hockey and technically have a home residence in Portland, Maine. It's got to be very weird. Lord knows I'd be a fish out of water in South Korea, but that would be a hell of a vlog series now, don't you think? I'll see you guys when something interesting happens. So nothing too crazy to report as of January 21st. We are currently at 17-2, good for 42 points. I was taking a look around some of the other leagues. They have released their mid-season draft rankings, which of course is pretty sweet. Jack Hughes still number one. We could take a look at the complete list or not. Maybe because it's not relevant to me. That's kind of weird. Everything should be showing up, but that is what it is. Aside from that, just keeping an eye on some of the other leagues as well. I've added all the main leagues that you would expect to see to the options as well, trying to keep an eye on the World Junior Tournament, although I also want to keep an eye on the KHL. Tempted to see what's going on there. I do currently have good old Do Not Disturb on, which, just trying to make a little bit of progress. We are still dealing with some injuries, of course, and actually we'll take a fine little journey over there. John Gilmore's out. Rob O'Gara has just finally come back from injury. So it is absolutely limiting what we are capable of doing. And in terms of making trades or not making trades, I think if anything, the team as it stands, I think we're at the mercy of the two teams above us for at least the first season. I don't think we're going to be able to make that much of a difference. We're not going to be able to change the roster all that much for the duration of this first season. In terms of trying to win the Kelly Cup in year one, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. It would be nice, though, as John Gilmore is going to be back from injury. We have results from the NHL All-Star competition. Erik Karlsson was not the fastest skater. Connor McDavid had the best time. 3 points to 2, so I guess they had individual races. Breakaway challenge was won by McDavid. Shooting accuracy, they did team versus team. Stamkos had the best accuracy overall. It's pretty sweet how they do that. Hardest shot was won by Alex Ovechkin. As far as what the rosters look like for the All-Star game, I'll take a quick scroll through that. If you care to look, feel free. The big news here, though, of course, is that we have John Gilmore back from injury, which is extremely helpful. So Scotty Savage, unfortunately, we're going to be sending him down so he can at least play as opposed to sitting there and doing absolutely nothing, which is what he'd be doing otherwise. I did change up the tactics as well. Mixed success with that, unfortunately. It just seems as though nothing's really gelling with the team. I kind of want to say I took a more aggressive approach with the tactics, and just a tad bit more aggressive approach with the tactics. Of course, you can change it up for each line individually, which is a pretty decent way to go. But for now, we're going to stick with the old global settings, which actually with that check mark on, it still would have been down to that, but that's okay. We'll be all right. I'm going to continue to see how we do. Again, probably would be for the best to fully customize those. We'll actually get a full look at the standings here. I don't remember where it is. It'd be over here. There we go. We still find ourselves in 5th. We're 1 point out of a playoff spot right now. Decent separation between us and Brampton. So again, we're looking okay. -9 goal differential, though probably not the best way to make it into the playoffs, but I'm confident that we can get there. I'll see you guys again in a couple of minutes. It'll be half a second for you for when we have another update. But for now, we're looking okay. Now, heading towards the deadline, I do plan on taking a look at the league's top scorers. And the player of the month this past month was Justin Ogier of the Florida Everblades, formerly a LA King prospect. I mean, 3.5-star player at this point for the ECHL. He is also a former AHL Calder Cup champion and won the OHL title with the Guelph Storm back in the day, making a decent amount of money. Would probably be fairly difficult to trade for, but he does have 40 points in 46 games, which does lead me to be interested in what's going on around the league and who might be worth going after. So the goal leader right now is Sam Fioretti of the South Carolina Stingrays. He is one of 2 players, actually, but Josh Shalla of the Indy Fuel up there right now. We do not have anybody in top 12. Unfortunately, point leader is also Fioretti. I believe the Stingrays are still in first place. Sam Anas, who was recently acquired by the Anaheim Ducks, if I'm not mistaken, from Minnesota, also up there. So a couple of the top players who are worth looking at, and you'll notice here too. If you're ready, I mean 2.5 star, 2.5 star, 2-star player there. These are players who shouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to acquire. 2.5, 3 stars. These are the guys leading the way as far as the league is concerned. Team attendance, by the way. Where are we? Where are we at, man? Capacity use? Well, we're not way down there. At least, hey, there we are. 80% capacity use. Not that bad. Not that bad. Don't have a single sellout this season, but we are an ECHL club, and I can tell you, even when the Portland Pirates were there, I don't often recall seeing full sellouts, but, I mean, that's minor league hockey for you. So that said, team stat-wise as well, just to get a look here. So goals for per game, we are currently towards the higher side, 11th, averaging a decent, or at least goals, goals per game. We're good. We're in 11th, averaging over 3 a game at 3.19 exactly. Goals against, though, at a 3.56. That is the issue. We need to find ourselves some goaltending stability and some defensive stability, which is, again, has been very difficult with the injuries that we have, and in general is very difficult because of just how our defense is built. As far as the power play percentage, we need to change that up or down there in 22nd. Our penalty kill percentage, we're also a little bit down there. So special teams could use a little bit of work. But again, if you look at how this team is built, we have 3 defensemen who do not belong to us that we can't do anything with. They take up a roster spot. We can't elect to send them down like I could for Adam Plant. They are here. We have to use them. Granted, they are the 3 best defensemen that we have. 3 3-star defensemen. You'd like to think that we wouldn't be doing as bad as we are. But again, we have quite a few man-powered games. People have been injured. We've played 43 games, right? We've played a lovely 43 games. Let's actually go back to the depth chart. A lovely 43 games. We have 22 games with Clayson. 8 games with O'Gara. 33 games with O'Gara, I should say. And John Gilmore at 31. So I think that's been the big issue. So with us knowing the defense has been a little bit of a concern, maybe it would be worth probably holding on to Adam Plant as the depth option, but potentially trying to trade a Scott Savage, a Tolkien, who is the real-world captain, but maybe trying to make certain moves here. I'm not entirely sure what they'd be worth and what we could get back, but we need to shore up that defense. But I want to get your opinions on it. We still have a month to go before the deadline, so things could change. And, I think we will sim at least to March 1st. That way you guys can see where we are in the standings, what the situation is. Hopefully, we'll find ourselves a bit further up there. Again, top 8 in the Eastern Conference, if I'm not mistaken, does not matter. We need to be above Worcester, and hopefully we will be. Still just a point back. So unfortunately, we have one of those unforeseen moves that is going to heavily affect this team. Frederick Clayson has been called up to the New York Rangers. Vinny Pedri has been sent down in his place. We'll take a look at the two to at least make a comparison. I'm actually not sure how highly rated Pedri will be. Pedri's still a 3-star guy for us. He had 34 points in 45 games for the Wolfpack this year, so he was doing very well. It makes me wonder, and I could check, I'm not going to, but it makes me wonder who got sent down to Hartford if Clayson made the jump from the ECHL directly to the NHL. But that does change the outlook of the team, especially too, if we go to the ratings. I want to compare you directly. I probably won't be allowed to because he's not on the roster anymore. Hold on a second. Let us go find Mr. Clayson. Hopefully we can. Where are you at, buddy? Hello? There you are. Nope, you're Philip, defenseman. There we go. There you are. Good old Frederick. Go ahead and add you to the short list quickly. Let's go back. Well, there we go. Actually, we can get a look. No, he's on Hartford. Okay. So we only got called up straight to Hartford. How is he doing this year? Season stats for us. He was, can I look at ECHL, or I imagine that's at, well, hold on, back to profile. That's where we can look. He had 17 points in 24 games, played 22 minutes a night. That is a rough loss for us, but let's go right back to the roster. We'll go to Vinny Pedri, and I do want to compare him directly to Clayson, and we'll see what we're dealing with. So you got Clayson on the right. Both are 3 stars. Clayson's a little bit more versatile in that he could play the right-hand side. Pedri is a little bit better offensively, and Clayson a little bit better defensively. Skating is about equal. Okay, so we're actually getting more of an offensive force with Pedri, despite the fact he's listed as a defensive D-man on his contract role, which I don't know if I believe that to be true. So I am still going to trust the assistant GM to set up the lines and the roles. It has Pedri listed as a mobile defenseman. He is going to be with John Gilmore. Not bad. By the way, in terms of game ratings, actually, let's go back to by position here. So Hannu Toivonen has still been the better of the 2 goaltenders this year. I do want to go take a look at Stevens, actually, to see what his numbers have been. No, you're not going to give me my little preview? There we go. 863 in 22 games for Stevens and 896 for Hannu Toivonen. Maybe it wasn't the defense that needed improving. I think we have our answer. We need ourselves a new goaltender, which, you know, might not be all that difficult to achieve if we have 2 or at least 1 2-star goalie that we can shop in the deal with Hannu Toivonen. So let's take a look here around the league as far as the best goaltenders available. I'll also take a look at the free agent list, and I want your opinion on what we could potentially do. So Toivonen was at an 896, I do believe. The best save percentage in the league right now is Kasimir Kaskisuo at 925. So we are absolutely being sunk in that way. Kaskisuo is under contract with Toronto, obviously. Jeremy Helvig, I believe, is under contract with Carolina still. He is, so he is not going to be... I don't believe we can acquire him due to ECHL affiliations, if I'm not mistaken. I think Adam Wilcox has an NHL contract. He doesn't. He's under an ECHL deal with Rochester. Would we be able to sign him? No, we would not, I figured. So we have to hope that there's a goalie here. Adam Carlson. Hey, Adam Carlson. Okay. So I do know that he was with the... I think he was with the Wild at one point. That makes sense. I know he was... again, NHL and roster editing, I'm familiar with him at least. He is the highest performing goaltender right now that we could hope to bring in with that 920 save percentage. Parker Milner as well. He's under contract at the Hershey Bears, so that would not be possible. Ken Appleby under contract at the Manitoba Moose. So if we want to look to improve our goaltending, getting Adam Carlson from the Rapid City Rush looks to be the best way to go. Sam Britton might be the second best, and he's under an AHL contract. So I'm thinking it's Adam Carlson who might be our best possibility here. As far as the free agent center is concerned, though, let's take a look. We know that we're going to have some money to spend. I don't think I'm going to sign a 999-year-old, but, you know, crazier things have happened. There's an Egyptian pharaoh who wants to come back from the dead and make something happen. I mean, I'm game. Let's go 2.5 or 2 and 3 star, and we'll see what goalies are available. Apparently nobody. Is it because that says $9.99? I'm very confused. So there are no goalies available under that setup. Really? Apparently not. Either something's wrong with the filter and I'm just not seeing it, or I'm not sure, to be honest. So we'll be okay here. Let me just reset this. And let me just look at goaltenders. Am I mistaken? Am I not allowed to sign free agents at this point? Which that doesn't sound right. Oh, there's just no goalies on the free agent market right now. So we're going to have to make a trade, clearly. Let me know. You would have seen some of the other goalies who were available there, but I mean, let me know. Do you think Adam Carlson should be the guy? I don't really see another move that could be made here. Nick Schneider will have a contract with Calgary still. Cole Sheveldave might be the other option. Currently at 9-12. Only played 11 games, though, for Cincinnati. And Jason Pulaski has played 22 games for the Indy Fuel. He would also be available. We have options, but we do have to make a move. Standings-wise, we are currently in a playoff spot, 1 point above Worcester. It's gonna be a brawl for that spot all season long. In the next episode, I think we will go forward. And number one, I do want your opinion on, hey, what should the format of this be? But we should be able to make it to the start of the Kelly Cup playoffs. And we'll find out whether or not we are indeed a playoff team. At this rate, we should be. But there are a couple of things to address. We need better goaltending. First and foremost, we need to definitely take a look at the power play setup. But again, as far as what else we can change aside from the goaltending, not a whole hell of a lot. Not a whole hell of a lot. Adams Moisan, we could look to deal. He has 26 points on the year. Dwyer Shantz has 30 points on the year. Hey, game, stop it. Thank you. Luke Stork, 16 points in 26 games. Craig Chase with 34 points. There's really nothing we can do to overly improve this team aside from maybe trying to find some defensive help by replacing Adam Plant, but there's really no way to do that. We have to use Hannu Toivonen. We have to bring in a better goaltender if we're going to make the playoffs. We'll see if we do. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one as I continue to try and figure out how to format this.